we've talked about it a lot with you that you love the game of baseball. You love being around the game of baseball. Dive back into your story. Where did the love of baseball really start for you?
The love of baseball. So I started when I was about 4 years old. My dad was going to be my first t-ball coach. It was a YMCA league, and he actually couldn't. He was traveling and doing his job, so my mom stepped in, and my mom was actually my first coach. And growing up, just kind of kept playing, loved it. I always asked my dad if I could play football, and he played semi-pro football growing up. And he told me, he was just like, no, you're not going to do it until you get to middle school, just because like my body hurts from it. And so I was just like, okay. So he let me play basketball, let me play baseball and all that. And I just couldn't get enough of baseball. And I'm thankful for that more than anything. My body would be hurting if I was playing football too. But yeah, and growing up, my mom was probably the one doing the stat book like you do. And she loves all the analytics and stuff. Like when I get TrackMan sheets from the coaches and everything, now I give it to her because she loves looking at it. And yeah, I remember hours on hours of batting practice that she would a front toss to me or soft toss or on a tee or whatever. And my dad was actually an umpire for a lot of years, just like you. I'll say you're the better umpire.
Yeah, you've never seen it.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen my dad. Don't you worry. My dad had a short leash, that's for sure. He had some good toss stories, that's for sure. But yeah, I was just around it so much, whether it be on an umpiring side or my mom being like my first coach and just kind of loving it. And it's just one of those things.
You've told me that you've umpired too.
I have.
Wait, when? How long?
So I don't really talk about it a whole lot because I like to say I'm better than my dad, but he knows that's not true. He knows a lot more than I do on that side. But he actually got me started when I was 15 in high school, just to make a couple of bucks. And so I did it. I did some t-ball. I did a little bit of older ball, and my dad was just like, you're pretty good. Like you know the game, you know what's going on. You just need to learn the umpiring aspect of it. And I was just like, Dad, I'm not going to lie. I can't be an umpire. And he goes, why is that? And I said, I probably argue with more umpires than anybody. So there's no reason for me to be an umpire, because if somebody argues with me, I'm going to be like you and just toss them. And he goes, fair enough. And so I stopped at around 17, 18 years old.
Did you ever do a game with your dad?
I did plenty with my dad. That was one of his like stipulations. He was like, I'll do behind home plate, so if I get hit in the arm or something, you're not going to get hurt. And so I did the field majority of my time. So
you were telling me your dad got all the way up to like D2 ball? Yeah,
he did a little bit of college ball, a little D2. And he was a good umpire. He just had other things. He had me, he had my sister, so he wanted to be able to go do other stuff and watch us play, so that's why.
So we've talked about this, and a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, you and I have had this conversation, yeah, but we're going to talk about it again, one, to make sure you're telling me the truth.
All right. But
we've talked about it with your dad, a huge influence on who you are today. Mm-hmm. But he's a Cleveland fan?
He is. So he grew up just outside of Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
To be honest, it is Cleveland, Ohio. But he grew up a Browns fan, and an Indians fan, now the Guardians. He's not too happy about that, but that's okay. He just loved everything Cleveland, everything. It didn't matter what it was. He would go to everything. He was actually a I'm trying to think of the name. The guy that goes up and down the aisles for beer, hot dogs, and all that.
Oh, vendor?
Yeah, he was a vendor for a lot of years while he was in high school. So he can make some dollars. But he used to see like Jack Lambert for Pittsburgh play. I know he talks about the Brian Sipe days in Cleveland. But he also, one of his favorite players growing up, baseball wise, was Albert Bell. He loved him. And so he still wishes Municipal Stadium was still there. But we all know that Progressive and the Brown Stadium is way better.
When did you realize that playing baseball at the next level, at the college level, was something that would be in your future?
To be honest, I didn't really know. I was a senior in high school, and I didn't have any offers, really. I had, I think, one D3 offer, and I actually got a chance from a coach that was that used to coach at Lambert High School in my county. He went down to Fort Myers, Florida, to start the FSW program, Florida Southwestern program. And he saw me pitch, and he was just like, yeah, I think you have a chance. You're not very good right now, but you have a chance. And I'm like, all right, I'll take that. So I actually decided to commit to FSW, and was very grateful for the opportunity, and just didn't work out. And so I ended up transferring to Gordon State Gordon State College, because I had a buddy that I played travel ball with, and I said, hey, do you have any spots? And he goes, yeah, we need some left-handed arms. I said, will you give me a chance to play first too? And he goes, yeah, you will. And went there. I wasn't the greatest hitter. Knew that. I know that now. Didn't know that then. If you look at my stats, they're not good. I think I had 7 ABs, 3 Ks, no hits, maybe 2 or 3 walks. That was about it. And that was the end of my hitting career.
So did you think you were going to college as a hitter, or did you know pitching was going to be?
I think in the back of my head, I knew I was going to be a pitcher, but I just wanted to live the pipe dream of being Shohei Ohtani for a little longer, and it didn't work out. But I actually came in to Gordon. I was an over-the-top pitcher. Sat out my first 25 or 26 games, didn't play. And I was feeling ground balls at first base, and would throw side. And my coach goes, hey, meet me down in the bullpen. And I'm like, all right, what's up? And he goes, throw it like you're throwing a second. And I looked at him, and I was just like, what do you mean? And he goes, throw it like you're throwing a second, just off the mound. And I'm like, all right. So I do it one time, and he goes, off the mound, like on the rubber. And I'm like, oh, okay, like we'll do that. And he threw some fastballs, and they got dotted up a little bit, and he was just like, do you have a changeup? And I was just like, I don't know, I've never thrown like this. And he goes, try it. Threw like 5 to the backstop. It was not good. And he goes, well, do you have a breaking ball? And I was just like, I don't know. He goes, try it. And so that's where the slider came in, and he was just like, that's pretty good. Guess what? You're pitching on Tuesday, and it's Monday. And I'm like, that's tomorrow. And he goes, yep. And I'm like, all right. And so kind of found a spot there, and just ran with it. Wasn't sidearm, but kind of ran with it. It was a work in progress type thing, but it ended up panning out.
So on Monday, you're a first baseman, an over the top guy.
Mm-hmm.
He sees you throw it from first, and that's how you become a sidearm guy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
do you throw sidearm that Tuesday?
Yep.
All sidearm.
All sidearm from the mound. It was very one of those things where I'm sitting there, and it's just like I can't believe this is happening. Like, I've sat out 25, 26 games, and he wants me to go there and do something completely different, and I just kind of ran with it. And it took a while, because I would climb over the top a little more, and then some days it'd be more down. And he was just like, all right, so in your pregame routine, I want you to act like you're fielding a ground ball and throw like you're throwing a second. And I've done that ever since, and that's what's kind of kept me where I am now. And it was a work in progress.
How long did it take you to really get comfortable coming from the side?
So I got comfortable towards the end of my freshman season, but really when I went to summer ball up in the Valley League and played for the Waynesboro Generals, I had a coach by the name of John Jeans up there, and he was just like, hey, like, I just want you to do your thing, be you. Like, nobody's like you out here. I haven't seen anybody like it, so be different. And I just was like, well, I am different. And he goes, dude, I know you're different. You don't have to, you could walk up to the stadium and I didn't have to tell me that. And I'm like, okay, cool. But he goes, like, out on the mound, I want you to be different. I want you to be that side lefty that maybe once in a lifetime people see. And so I was like, all right, we'll just do that. And end up coming back my fall season of my sophomore year and had a really good fall. Was actually set up to be the closer for Gordon that year. And first game of the season, we were playing St. John's at their place, and Garrett Blaylock, I'm trying to think, is he a third baseman?
Yeah,
third baseman for Georgia. We were playing against him when he was down there, and pitched the first inning, went good. Second inning rolled around, and I'm like, all right. And so the second to last pitch, like, something went and popped, and I was just like, that didn't feel good. Let's try it again. And so I threw another one, and it was a ground ball back to the pitcher. I grabbed it and flicked it with my glove and ended up tearing my UCL that year in the first game. And it's kind of funny now. I was looking at the percentage of what you play in a year. It was like 0.005. And I was just like, well, I didn't have an impact, but at least I had something.
You go through that, have to rehab it back.
Yep.
Everybody talks about what the rehab process looks like for a normal over-the-top guy. Mm-hmm. Is it any different for a sidearmer?
So I ended up getting set up with a guy named Troy Jones over in Woodstock, Georgia.
No joke. That's where I'm from.
Yeah. And, Rapid Sports Performance.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Over there. And I was over there, and I just walk in one day, and I'm sitting there with a big sling and just kind of like sitting there. And behind the reception's desk is some Latin guy, and I have no idea who it is. Well, let me rephrase that. I knew it was somebody that I knew. I just didn't know who it was. And I'm sitting there, and he's just like the way I would describe it is we call him JJ, but he can't say his J, so yeah, like that's how he would talk. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I know this guy. So I'm looking through it, and I'm like, I got it. It was Jair Jurgens from the Braves team, early 10s Braves teams. Yeah. And I grew up watching this guy, and I loved him. Couldn't get enough of him. But I'm sitting there, I'm doing rehab with Jair Jurgens. Didn't talk to him probably for the first month and a half because I was too scared to. And then we had like Ben Garland, center for the Atlanta Falcons there. And then we had Jarrett Jack that played NBA. And I'm looking at all these guys, and like a bunch of other big league dudes are coming in, like Charlie Blackmon and everything. And I'm like, okay, I have no idea where I'm at, but it's probably the right place. And the rehab process was actually me and JJ throwing together, and him just working with me in it. And he was just like, hey, you're going to do the exact same things as anybody else would, but the only difference is you're going to throw side. Like, I want you to do that. That's what makes you successful. That's what makes you you. And I don't want to change any of that. And Troy would help me too, but me and JJ, I still text him to this day, and I'm just like, hey, what's happening? You want to go grab some lunch just to chat? But me and him were just like rehab buddies, me, him, and Troy, and we would just work together. And it was, hey, be different, go do your thing, just do it in your way. And they kind of helped me figure that out. And it wasn't anything different than anybody else does. It was just sometimes you got to look a little slanted, but I mean, that's about it.
What's the process of you coming to Georgia Southern? Was it something that you looked and tried to see where you wanted to go? Was it a reach out from Georgia Southern? How does that process take place?
So I always wanted to go to Georgia Southern. Never out of high school. I just never got the chance to.
What was it about Georgia Southern?
So I actually, my travel ball, one of the travel ball coaches that I had is Todd Green. And I grew up around him quite a bit. And I love you, Todd. Love you, Todd, if you're listening. He was probably one of the best baseball minds, best guys just to be around and just to hear, because he was no bull crap. He's going to tell you like it is. And I can appreciate it. Not everybody does. But I like the honesty personally. Yeah. So it was kind of that, but I was at Gordon in my sophomore year in the fall, and that's where we get all of our calls and everything. And I was getting calls from D2 programs like Flagler, Georgia Southwestern, and stuff. And then I got some NAIs, some D3s, and never had any D1s come reach out to me. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should just go D2. It was just kind of one of those things, whatever. And then Coach Beck actually saw me pitch, and he was just like, hey, I want our pitching coach to come see you. And I'm like, okay. And Coach Green, that's not here with us anymore, but he came and saw me, and he was just like, hey, we're going to give you a call. We want to see you throw one more time when Gordon plays Southern. And so I went and pitched against Southern. I think I had like 2 or 3 scoreless, and he was just like, hey, we want to offer you. And kind of took my time with it, just to see what there was. And after that, just ended up coming. It was kind of a surreal moment, because I don't know, it's just where I wanted to be all along.
That's awesome. You get here to Georgia Southern, and you don't really know what your role is going to be in that bullpen. Is it going to be a mix and match type deal? You don't know what it's going to be. Did you always have the same mindset of whatever I go into, I'm just going to go until they come get me? Or did you kind of have to get ready for the mindset of what you were doing?
I would say your mindset's the same, whether you're going in for a batter, or you're going in for an inning, or a full game. It's this is my plan. This is what I do, and I'm going to do it the best that I can. And if you hit it, all right, good for you. But if you can't, you're going to have a tough day. And that's just kind of my mindset, whether it's because I know, like, when I got here, it was more matchup, more I want to say 1 outs and be done. But then some guys got hurt last year, and it ended up turning into mid relief / setup / closer. It was just kind of like a bunch of roles, but the mindset didn't change, because it's like, I'm gonna do what I do best, and if you can do it better, good for you, but if you can't, sorry.
The thing that I love about you, it doesn't matter if back when you were a mix and match guy to now you're one of the top guys in the country as far as appearances are concerned. You're the same dude. It doesn't matter what happens in the game, after the game. Now, you'll come and smack me on the back after we win. Thanks. But you're the same dude. Where does that come from?
It just comes from probably the biggest one is my mom. She sends me stuff every morning, and it's just like, hey, like, whether it's Bible verses or a motivational thing, or just reminiscing photos of like me playing basketball or travel ball days, and just kind of reminding me that, like, whatever happens or doesn't happen, like, you're still the same kid. Like you're 23 years old, but you're a kid. And that's just kind of where it comes from. And I know my dad's another part of it, big instilled. Be the same guy every day, because once you have that consistency every day, that's where you start to see results. Is everything going to go your way? No, but it's just kind of being like, if you if you lose a game like I did on Friday, it doesn't matter, because guess what? You have multiple chances to prove yourself throughout a season or just in life. And so, and that's where it kind of comes from, because I know my mom sent me this quote multiple times, and it's Mariano Rivera. If I have a bad game, I've already forgotten about it by the time I get to the dugout, because it's already done and over with. And that's one of the best things I've probably heard, other than Yogi Berra's baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. But yeah, it's probably one of the best quotes I've been given from my mom, just because, like, you can't do anything about it. I mean, it's already done and over with, so you might as well cheer on the rest of your team and just be you.
We've talked about it a lot already, but you can tell your parents are a huge part of who you are, all the way from growing up and still today. How important is that to you to be able to share these experiences with them? I know they're at a lot of the games that Georgia Southern plays, if not every one of them. Yeah. But how important is it for you to be able to share this with them?
It's super special. I know after the semifinal win against Lafayette, I know my dad and my mom came out. That was the first person I'd wanted to see, and my dad and me just kind of teared up, just for the fact that hey, we made it to a Division I program, and we're going to a championship. And did we win it? No. But for me and my parents, that was probably one of the biggest things that we kind of shared together. But them being at majority of our games, my mom actually went to Western Michigan. Yeah, I know she wants me to shout out the Broncos, but go Eagles. Oh yeah. But she wanted to, but I've turned them Georgia Southern fans full blown. And my dad actually grew up triple option offense in high school, so he loved the offense, loved it. But yeah, no, it's really special, and it's actually really special with my sister and my brother-in-law. My sister grew up a huge Georgia fan, and she still likes the Dogs, but she's more of a Southern fan. That's what I like to.
There you go.
Yeah. And my brother-in-law is a huge Southern fan now, but they just had their first niece, or first kid, and is my niece. And so having them there with it, and just kind of celebrating the wins and everything just with them is just awesome. It's one of those things that just you can't get enough of.
There's one story that I want you to tell, because Danny and I were in the Wiggins building when this happened. It's last year, South Alabama. It's the beginning of May, I think. You go out and you throw 3 2/3 innings and shut down South Alabama, who came in the top team in the Eastern Division at the time. Everybody assumed at the beginning of the day that after 3 2/3 innings, you're probably done the next day. You're not going to be needed. And I think that was the Saturday going into Sunday. We get done with the pregame interview with Coach Hennon, and we're sitting there talking to Skip and Coach Green, and you just walked up out of nowhere like it was nothing and said, "Hey, I've got an inning if you need it today." Coach Green, that was the happiest I've ever seen that man.
To be honest with you, it was one of those things where before the series started, I knew what the records were. I knew where we were in the conference. I knew where we were in the East Division, and after we got snubbed on the first day, and we won the second day, I was like, all right, if we win here, we're at the top. We can do this. And it was just kind of I walk in, I move my arm a little bit, and I'm like, I'm really not that sore. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna see what they say. If they say no, all right, whatever. But there's no harm in asking, and so, or telling, really. And I was just like, hey, I got an inning, give it to me. And I know you and Danny were, oh my gosh, it was, I think everybody at Georgia Southern heard y'all scream, that's for sure, laugh, or all of the above. But it was just one of those things where I think the moment mattered more than how I felt. And I know my mom was not happy when I said I could go because of my arm surgery the 2 years before. But I wanted that win. I wanted to be at the top. And it was just kind of like we can do this. Like, they're not as good as everybody said they were. Like, I think we're the better team, and that's kind of the reason why I did it.
And then you do come out and throw an inning.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh, it wasn't awesome after I came on the mound. I was like, yep, that's it. I'm done.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
You talk about knowing what that series meant with South Alabama last week. How much are you in tune of what's going around Sunbelt Conference baseball? Like, this weekend, Georgia Southern heads to San Marcos. It's a Texas State team that earlier on today got ranked number 10 in the top 25 polls by D1 Baseball. How much do you stay in tune? Because there's some guys that look at it, some guys that could care less. How much are you into it?
I won't lie, I'm a stat watcher. I love looking at my own stats. I love looking at our team stats, and I look at records. To be honest with you, the one game that I didn't this year was the College of Charleston game, and it wasn't anything against them. It was just I just hadn't looked at it, and my mom texted me and goes, they beat Texas? And I said, hold up. Wow, all right, I got to start stat watching a little bit. But no, I'm a big stat watcher. I know that if we sweep them this weekend, we're at the top, and if we take two out of three, we're one behind them still. It's just something that I think if somebody said that, like, oh yeah, I have no idea, I don't believe them, because I think everybody, like, if you're in your sport, they know. And it may not be individual stats, but at least a team, team records and stuff, I think people know. And so I'm amped up for it. I'm so amped up for it. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a good old time down there. I know the boys are ready to go find some cowboy hats and boots down there as well.
You going with a cowboy hat again?
I am. I will be in my cowboy hat attire. And I may or may not drop a good check on some authentic cowboy boots. So.
You going belt buckle too? I mean, whole nine yards.
No belt buckle.
We're not going flannel?
No, we got to wear our team issued polos.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Right.
So
one last thing I wanted to touch on, and something that I didn't know until we were talking about it before we went live here tonight. You graduated with a supply chain management degree. Mm-hmm. You're going to graduate with a marketing degree, and you're going to grad school.
Yes.
To be able to do that much academically here at Georgia Southern, what's that mean?
It means a lot. I know my dad always said it for the longest time. Hey, you could get a degree in butt wiping for all I care, but I just need you to get a 4-year. And I'm like, all right. And at first it was exercise science, then it went to business, then back to exercise science, then to business. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and being here just kind of helped me figure that out, and it's meant a lot. I might not use my supply chain degree, and I may not use my marketing degree, but yeah, it's meant a lot, because this is the place where I wanted to get it. This was the place where I wanted to be. But being able to go to grad school for a teaching degree means a lot, because I think I've always contemplated whether I wanted to coach or not, and I thought maybe at the college level, but that takes a toll on you and your family. And so I I'm kind of hesitant about it a little bit, but I think if I could be a high school teacher and be a coach to some high schoolers as well, and be kind of influential to them, and just kind of, whether it be on the field or in the classroom or in life, like I've been through it, and so kind of help them in the ways that my coaches have helped me, and that's what I kind of want to pass down since being here.
This has been a lot of fun. Really appreciate you taking the time. Absolutely love getting to know you over the last couple of years.
Yes,
We've
sir.
had a lot of fun, stories over the years, but it's an absolute honor to be able to watch you do what you do, both on the field and off the field. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Colin. I appreciate you.
We'll continue on this week's edition of Inside Eagle Nation. We catch up with the ESPN voice of the Texas State Bobcats to dive into Georgia Southern Texas State this weekend. Here's Brant Freeman.